And I'd like to welcome both of those guys to the stage right now. Give it up for Curt and Jeff, and also from KissFAQ, a man who's also made some tremendous books. I just got done reading the Elder book cover to cover. Julian Gill, everybody. And Julian is going to be doing the interview with the guys.
All right, Atlanta, you know what day today is? Paul Stanley's birthday. Can we get a round of applause for the Star Child? It's great looking out at all of you. Thank you to everyone who's come by the KissFAQ table. We appreciate it. Let's talk about Kiss Live Forever. Let's do it. You are Jeff.
I am Jeff.
And you are?
Curt Gooch.
And guys, you first put out Kiss Live Forever in 2003. Jeff, what made you guys decide to do such a massive undertaking?
It was absolutely 100% an accident. It goes all the way back to 1995. Everybody remember Kiss Tree when it first came out? Like all the rest of you guys, I paid my $150, got Kiss Tree. For some reason, I thought there was going to be a complete list of every concert they ever done, and there wasn't. And I was really disappointed for some reason, so I decided one day, I thought, well, maybe I could just kind of do a list in my spare time. And I slowly started working, and the internet was first becoming a thing, and Mike Rainbow back there in the corner was running KissFAQ, and I get friends with Mike, and we were coordinating everything. And a year or so went by, and I had, after networking with all these people online telling what I was doing, some guy said, hey, I got a buddy that's been doing the same thing for several years. And all of a sudden I got an email from this guy, and that guy was Mr. Gooch.
That's right. I've been working on it since I was in high school, believe it or not. And I met Jeff in February of '96, just as the reunion tour was starting to happen. And within 48 hours of meeting, we realized we had a book here that was going to be pretty unbeatable as far as Kiss books go. Especially at the time, because there was very little out there other than just some fluff things.
Yeah, really, that there was a couple of books from the 70s, Peggy Tamarkin's book from 1980, and then Chris Lent's book, which had just come out, and that was it, as far as Kiss books go. And
so how long were you guys working on this project before it came out in 2003? How many years? And how much effort went into it?
Yeah, initially we thought that there was, we just kind of started working together on this list, and a bunch of people, probably some people here, said, hey, you guys should make this a book. And so we knew what we had in mind. We knew, hey, we got to get all these concerts up to the current point. So we had our work cut out for us. So we spent, probably a good 2 or 3 years researching before we even approached a publisher, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we wound up doing 7 years worth of research and $75,000, going all around the country, spending weeks in the Library of Congress, hanging out in the basement of the Library of Congress, just trying to unearth all of these details that we knew were out there that just had to be collected.
So in this process, what point do you get to the place where you say, okay, we've got a book here, we've got a viable book? Was there any one part of the research that you conquered that you could say, we can go ahead with this, with something that the fans are going to value?
Yeah, well, I put all the data that we were collecting in an Excel spreadsheet, which I still have today. It's still in constantly updating. And once we got to the point probably around 2000 where we thought, this is pretty close. We've got this list as about populated as we could get it. And to that point, we thought, okay, we're close enough to the finish line. Now we can go talk to publishers and see what their interest was. And
second call, first day trying, we had a publisher. And it was for 2 unpublished writers, that was pretty incredible, but Kiss sold itself.
Yeah, absolutely. You hear about all these people, writing their first book, and they put out 46 letters to 46 different publishers and get 46 rejection letters. We reached out to 4 or 5 publishers, I forget which. Every single one of them accepted it instantly, because Kiss are just a cash cow.
I want to ask you about some of your favorite parts of Kiss Alive Forever. Most fans here will have read it and seen it, and it's the gold standard amongst Kiss books. Jeff, what is your favorite part of Kiss Alive Forever as a book?
I became really obsessed with 1974, kind of out of necessity, because 1974 was the most difficult part to research, because KISS were just constantly changing their itinerary. We had itineraries from Moose, one of their roadies, for the entire year, but you'd get an itinerary and it was only good for, I don't know, less than a week a lot of times, and half the shows would be canceled or rescheduled or postponed, and that became my kind of obsession and favorite part of the book to this day, just researching that, because it was such a challenge, so it was the most rewarding part.
That's awesome. Curt, what about you? Where is your heart in this book?
For me, my bread and butter in the book was the interviews. We tracked down over 200 people over a period of several years, and everybody from Bill Coyne to Bruce Kulick to Bob Kulick to the roadies to people that worked at Casablanca to anybody that was involved in the Coyne or Casablanca management or even Klickman Marks management companies, and got their stories and really, really put this thing together right from the people that knew what had happened.
Yeah, I can tell you, and I think, Curt, you'll remember, there was always, when we were doing research, some stuff we thought we would never get, you know, stuff that's so old, so obscure. And I remember one day making contact with a guy up in Canada, and he told me that he knew this promoter who had promoted KISS's 3 shows in February of '74. It was like the first time they ever went out on the road. And so I contacted him, and within a 15-minute phone call, this stuff that we thought was so old, so obscure, we literally got down to the person, how many people attended, how many tickets were put on the ticket manifest, stuff about the opening acts, and it was that day, I think we both realized that there was nothing that we, you know, theoretically could not unearth. That was a real, you know, kind of breakthrough moment for us.
So that's a great one of conquering. Do you have any regrets with the original book? Something that you could not get, something that you could just not find out or to clarify? And if so, Curt, what would that be for you?
Yeah, you know, when you do a book, there's so much that goes into it, especially a reference book like this. You work on it night and day, and we had the information, but somehow we accidentally skipped putting in Amarillo 1983, which I don't know how we did that, but we just somehow skipped it. But it is in the new edition. So that was the only thing I really regretted missing. And we were never happy with the cover of the original book. The printer really screwed up. The band looked like Smurfs more than they did KISS, because their faces came out blue more than white. But outside of those two things, I didn't really have any regrets that much.
For
Jeff,
me, there was a couple of things that had to do with stuff that we could never quite find. And Curt and I have always agreed that the one thing that we found is a little thing called the Barry Richards Rock and Soul Show, which is an American bandstand type thing, a little local American bandstand type show out of Washington, D.C. And we found this, gosh, a couple months before we even went before we were supposed to go to press. And we're like, how come Paul and Gene have never talked about this? By the way, this is March of 1974. Nobody had seen it, nobody had heard about it, and Paul and Gene had never talked about it. In fact, when we saw it on the itinerary, we thought, this never happened. And quickly, we were able to contact the TV station to confirm it really was a show. And Curt really pulled the rabbit out of the hat and actually found the cameraman who shot the show. And so we got a little bit of information about the show, and it was one of KISS's very first national, local TV appearances anywhere. And to this day, Curt and I, Julian, every guy that's ever really put his shoulder into KISS research, we've never been able to find it. And that's one of my, you know, holy grails or regrets, you know, of the research process.
Curt, I'm going to ask you about a holy grail for me. Boogie.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
In September of '74, KISS went back to Toronto for the second or third time. And when they did, they taped a local TV show, all 4 guys in full makeup and costume, doing a group interview on this local bandstand type show called Boogie. So you literally see people dancing to whatever they danced to in September of '74. And then here comes this heavy metal band with Whiteface coming out and doing an interview only. They didn't perform on the show. And it was the first season of the show, one of the very first episodes, we found out, we always knew there was something, and this is the day that Bob Ezrin was taping an episode before Kiss, and Kiss met Bob Ezrin backstage, which led ultimately to him doing Destroyer. So this was the very first day that they met him, and I wound up, within 24 hours of discovering the name of the TV show, which is what we didn't know, I literally was on the phone with the CBC in Canada, trying to dig through their archives, and we determined that the show still exists, but the whole entire first season was never saved. So the Kiss episode is completely wiped, missing, and gone forever. All that remains are some still photos that oddly enough just turned up on eBay out of nowhere one night.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, right.
So today you're selling a new printing of Kiss Alive Forever over at your stall in the corner there. What made you decide to revisit it 15 years later, and apart from the fantastic photo, to put out the book again?
Well, you know, over the past, the book's been out of print, I think, for about 7 years now, and the rights reverted to us from what is now Random House. And so there's so many people, probably a lot of you out there, had emailed us or contacted us or said online or something and said, hey, how can I get a copy of this book? Because the only way you could get it was trying to buy a dog-eared used copy on eBay, which was sometimes in excess of $200, which is just ridiculous. I mean, Curt and I wrote the book, we wouldn't pay that money. So we thought, well, why don't we self-publish just a small run, just, you know, of the 2002, you know, the original version of it, to get all of those people who would like a copy of this, you know, a nice new copy of it that you don't have to pay, you know, $200 or whatever to get. And then the Atlanta convention happened, and it was a perfect, you know, perfect time to do that. And you know, with Vinny coming back, we thought, hey, Creature's photo that nobody had seen, we got to put on the cover, and it just, it was all, it all just fell in place.
Curt, how did you guys come up with that particular photo, and were there any others that you hadn't kind of considered for it?
You know, it's funny, really is a Kiss community, and a gentleman by the name of Ross Radley, who's
Ross, hey Ross, you're in the
Ross
house.
is over there, everybody. Say hi, Ross.
Yeah, he's doing another book called Magic, the Kiss Chronicles, and he is the Kiss photo expert. And so I literally called him up and said, I need a group shot, vertical group shot from Creatures of what exists. There were 2 usable photos, and one had an orange background and one had a black background, so we chose that.
Did Ross work any of his magic on that photo for you?
Ross did. Eric is looking off, and we had Eric's eye reset in the middle, so it looks a little bit better. But that, I'm sure all of you have seen the Night Flight interview that Kiss did. That was taped right before or after. The photo session was right before or after they did the Night Flight the same day.
All right, so what's different in this reprint? Is it pretty close to the original in 2003? Or have you mentioned Amarillo on the Creatures tour. What else have you done to this for the reissue?
There's about 150 to 200 minor corrections that were messed up in the first version for whatever. There was a comma in the middle of a word, or...
Yeah, we're basically just talking typos now.
Yeah, pretty much. There's some set list corrections, and we have a new show, Amarillo 83, in there. But outside of that, if you have a copy and you know your hat's not falling apart and you're happy with it, there's no need to buy the new one, really. We put this out for people that, there's a whole entire generation of Kiss fans, in fact 3 or 4 of them have come up to me today, that literally were too young to ever get the book, and they were so happy not to have to pay $100 to $200 to get this thing on eBay. So we have the new cover, and a lot of people use the book, and this was unexpected, but the book gets used quite a bit, and people's pages started falling out. So we fixed the binding issue in the new version, and you know we're good to go now. So we will have, eventually we will do a volume 2 that will cover 2002 through when the band ends. We're waiting for the band to end, which, yeah.
I know, right?
So it's coming sooner rather than later, I'm sure. So as soon as that happens, we will finally put out a volume 2, and at some point we'll ultimately put out a completely revised Volume 1 with missing set lists and all new pictures and the whole 9 yards.
So I've got a question from my good friend Joe for you guys. And he went to one of the shows on the Creatures tour where they played a little bit of I Was Made for Loving You,
Okay.
and then it went into Give Me More. You read about it in Kiss Alive Forever. How did you guys find out those sorts of freaking details about shows?
Well, that's a good question, and it came from absolutely everywhere. Right from the beginning, before I even met Curt, this was an online grassroots just discussion. And so many people, such as yourselves, participated very willingly. In fact, I always look at Kiss Alive Forever as your book, because you all contributed to this, and the Road Cruise book, because it never would have happened without them. And so all of these little bits of information would filter in from somebody who attended, you know, some show in Louisville, Kentucky in April 1974 with their older brother, and hey, I remember this. And that's what we really wanted Kiss Alive Forever to be, not just a recitation of dry facts. I mean, that's cool enough, but wanted to kind of come alive with stories of people, you know, who were there. Because there are all those little strange things that happened along the way. And I think that, for me anyway, that's what made this book seem so organic and kind of come alive and make you feel like you were, you know, hopefully kind of really there.
Is there any kind of one show in Kiss Alive Forever that just blows your mind that yes, Kiss actually did that live in concert?
I mean, a song?
A song, something during the performance other than Ace falling over, you know, anything.
To me, it's more of a concert. And those of you familiar with the book, well, everybody should know that Ron Johnson was a guy who produced Wicked Lester, you know, for Paul and Gene, and worked with them a little bit before Kiss. And in May of 1973, he booked them for a charity gig to support a local library in Palisades, New York, which is right on the New Jersey border. And it's a quiet little, beautiful little town with some really rich people that lived there. And Curt and I visited the place, and just the stories that people who were there told me, you imagine these retired people, 75 years old, loaded with cash, and this is an event to support the local library, and here comes Kiss on stage, and the lady who actually booked the gig, he's like, yeah, Paul Stanley got up there and was, you know, yelling at the old lady, he's like, shake it, baby, shake it, and here are all these 75-year-olds out on this little dance floor in this smaller room, maybe literally one half the size of that wall over there, and that, to me, I'm just thinking, how the heck did that happen? How did it to be at that show?
Sure, what about you?
Yeah, the Palisades show was definitely one of the rarest things that we had to research, and it took us quite a while to find anything on that. We had
Tell me
little
about the posters.
Oh yeah. Now, just imagine this, if you will. I'm sure all of you out there are Kiss collectors to some extent. Some of you guys know there's Kiss concert posters. We walked in to this library in 2001, and lo and behold, they still had multiple copies of 1973 Kiss concert posters that they just basically gave us for $20 a piece, thinking they were ripping us off. And I mean, we just couldn't believe that we found that. I mean, and these things go for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And they were just sitting there, completely untouched for decades.
Yeah, she had walked and we'd asked her, this was the library that was the benefactors of this charity event. And we asked her if she knew anything about it. She said, yeah, I've heard a little bit about it. She says, just a minute. And she walked back, and she came back after about 2 or 3 minutes with this box. And she opened it up, and there were these handbills. They're about the size of a record album. And they hadn't been touched in, at that point, about 30 years. And Curt and I said, can we buy those from you? And she says, no, I'm sorry, we don't sell things, but I'll give them to you if you'd like to donate a fee to the library. Yes.
All right, here's the last thing. You brought something very special for the fans today, Curt. Do you want to give a quick overview, and then we'll bring in the screen so everyone can get a little peek at something special?
Absolutely. I work in a special industry called the clip licensing industry, where we buy and sell footage. And in particular, I work for a company that sells pop culture footage, so lots of 60s, 70s, and 80s TV shows, bands, anything like that, they own or represent, including lots and lots of Kiss footage. Well, I was working for them, and we found out quite ahead of time that Kiss were going to be making an official documentary movie. Some of you might have heard about it, called You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best. They actually completed the whole movie, and then at the last hour it got scrapped. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. And the film never got released, but for about 6 months, my boss cleared me to travel the world and literally find all Kiss masters that I could unearth and uncover because we knew we could sell it to the movie. So you talk about a dream job, getting paid to go anywhere you wanted and track down as many Kiss masters as you could find. In 6 months, I wound up unearthing 4.5 hours of never before seen footage dating all the way back to 1968, which is the earliest known footage of a Kiss member, which is Peter playing with the Barracudas, all the way up to Lick It Up. And today we're going to show you about a half-hour highlight reel, which we call the Kiss Alive Forever promo film. And I really think if you guys are into Kiss, which obviously if you're here you must be, this is a real treat. This is not something you've ever seen on bootlegs. This is not something that's been circulated. This is not on YouTube. This is completely unreleased, never before seen footage.
This is so rare. I have not seen it yet.
That's true.
Yeah. And the money shot is Kiss in Las Vegas at the Sahara Hotel, May 29th, 1975, on a stage about like this, in a room about like this.
Yes, and the other money shot, if you will, is in 1980, I'm sure most of you are aware, Eric Carr came into the band, played his first show at a place in New York called the Palladium. There's been rumors for years and years that the show was professionally videotaped. Sadly, it was not, but I was able to unearth 12 minutes of HD film footage from the show, and it looks incredible. And we're going to show some of that to you today, so you get to see Eric Carr's first show from the Palladium, along with Gene's acting audition from 1981 with no makeup. That's just absolutely embarrassingly bad. You can't imagine how bad this is. And we've got footage going back to February 74 up to February 83 in this film, so I think you guys are really, really going to kick out of it.
So let's roll this stuff, right?
Yeah, they're going to bring out, you'll have to give us a couple of minutes, they're going to set up the screen, and then we're going to bring the lights down, and then we'll lower it. Afterwards, Jeff and I will be back in the corner. Please come pick up a copy of Kiss Alive Forever 2018 if you have it or if you want it. We have literally 40 books left out of 1,000 copies that were made. We sold most of them through Pledge Music, as some of you might know, for the past few months, and today is what's left.
And we're going to be showing on a loop our 30-minute film back at the booth. So if there's anything that you want to check out again after we show it, stop by. We're going to be running it all day long back in the corner over there. And I want to take just a quick moment, one, to thank Mr. Julian Gill for jumping up on stage and doing this Q&A. Julian is a mensch. He has done the KissFAQ for 22 years. The guy is absolutely endlessly energetic and enthusiastic when it comes to all things Kiss. And I want to give a shout out also to Tony and to Norris, who's running sound for everybody there. They're going to come up here, they're going to raise the screen, and we're going to give you a show. Sound good?
Are you ready for some video? How about a round of applause for Curt Gooch and Jeff Suhs?
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. And thanks to Derek Christopher. He's the busiest man in Georgia. He's the guy that put all of this together, including getting Vinnie Vincent to see you guys. So a big round of applause to Derek Christopher. He's out there. Derek, thank you.